Greetings, everybody. It is Jason Johnson here to talk to you again. On my YouTube channel, we got a lot to talk about today. So as per the usual, like, subscribe, share, bring a friend. I have announcements to make. If you're watching this on Instagram or if you're watching this on X, Twitter, I still call it, Mama call it Twitter, I still call it Twitter, or Blue Sky or Spoutable, just know this is only going to run for about a minute, and then you can go to my YouTube page, Dr. Jason Johnson, where I have all this content. Please subscribe, and then we'll have the full discussion. YouTube is where I get into like full discussions on three things, which I do probably about every 5 or 6 days. And today, there's a lot to talk about, as per the usual. So, the first thing I want to say is this. Elon Musk is now technically leaving the government. Don't be fooled. He's not gone. That's the first thing. Number two, there are massive attacks going across this country right now at universities. It's not just Harvard, it's HBCUs. That's the story to remember. And number three, how to hate watch the how to hate watch the NBA finals. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So we're going to start off right at the beginning. So yesterday, I'm sure a lot of people saw the news that Elon Musk is now going to no longer be in government, right? It's this big deal. Oh my gosh, he argued with Trump and he said he didn't like the big, beautiful bill and he had issues with this, that, and the other. And, now he's going to go. Y'all, do not fall for this. Like, don't fall for this. Just because Elon Musk doesn't have a security card to walk in and out of the White House anymore doesn't mean that man isn't still running things. Like this is the number one thing. Do not be fooled. Anyone who says that Elon Musk is not still running this country is selling you a bill of goods, and they're not doing good reporting and they're not doing good analysis, right? And I don't mean this as a criticism. I mean this as a different way to look at this intellectually. Let's just stop for a second and understand who Elon Musk has been for the 3.5 months or whatever it was that he was in the Trump administration. This is a white nationalist, right? He has supported white nationalist causes in the United States and other countries. He has spread misinformation, recently talking about white genocide, attacking DEI as quotas and everything else like that. Like he is a white nationalist. That has been his primary agenda. And what did he do when he got into government? He went about the process of supposedly dismantling and finding waste under Doge, right? Now, in theory, a lot of people like that. They're like, oh yeah, the government's got all this waste. But guess what happened? He ran around with chainsaws like Chainsaw Man, like the anime character, whatever. And he said he was going to save us all this money, but he didn't. They kept revising the amount of money saved down from billions of dollars to $500 million to $1/3 billion. Now it's only a few hundred million that they think they're going to save. And 9 times out of 10, what actually happened with Doge is that they would fire people, find out later on that they were essential employees, and then have to hire the people back as contractors, which actually ends up costing us more money. Doge has been an absolute failure, and its number one target has not been government inefficiency. Oh, no. It's not been to save you tax money. No. It has been an attack on black people in America, because a large chunk of the African-American middle class has actually been government employees. So places like Virginia, Maryland, Michigan, North Carolina, where there's large numbers of college-educated black people who have managed to lift themselves up and their families into multiple generations of middle-class life being federal employees, because federal government has actually done a better job of hiring and retaining people than the private sector. He has decimated those jobs. So his white nationalism was actually driving policy. So here's the thing. He's now out, right? But he's not gone, because his minions are still involved in all sorts of government agencies. They're still firing people. They're still letting people go. And I'll say this, which is equally important and possibly more dangerous. We don't even know how much information about all of our lives that Elon Musk and his cronies stole while they were running the federal government, right? We do not know. We're talking billions of terabytes of information. We're talking our tax information, our social security numbers. This man didn't have a security clearance. He had 19-year-old college dropouts going into federal agencies for taxes and health and human services looking for inefficiencies. They fired executive after executive after government employee until someone let them into the machinery. So when I tell you that Elon Musk may no longer be in the building, but his presence is still there, he is still a danger and a threat to this country, He's still a danger and threat to our sovereignty and our democracy. And the fact that his own companies, Tesla and SpaceX and everything else like that, basically the fact that they were like, you need to come home because you've been tanking all of our businesses, even though you were selling Teslas on the front lawn of the White House, that's the issue. So please, please, please understand, we are still under an encroaching authoritarian regime. And just because one particular rich guy is technically not there, look, everybody here, we all went through the pandemic. We know how virtual work works. So he is still virtually running things, even if he's not in the government. And anybody who says otherwise is dangerous. Don't think it. Don't believe it. We still have to push to expunge any and all people who work for him out of the government and hold him accountable and find out what kind of information he may have stolen that is not his to have. We don't know who that man left the building with, and we don't know what he left the building with. So that's the first thing. Second thing is this. So I got a lot of friends who went to FAMU. Shout out to FAMU Rattlers. Yes, I'm a professor at Morgan State University, so don't give me some this is not showing too much love for one HBCU over another. But I think it's important to talk about this because there's a story going on right now about this woman, Marva Johnson, who is, a right-wing MAGA conservative who's more or less been installed as the new president of Florida A&M FAMU. Okay, which is one of the biggest, most successful, HBCUs in the country, and it's all sorts of amazing alumni, including mayors like Keisha Lance Bottoms and Andrew Gillum and things like that. And Ron DeSantis, as the MAGA Republican governor of Florida, has pushed for Marva Johnson to have this job. Is it official yet? No. But she's most likely to get the position. Now, a lot of people are complaining about that. I'm not bringing you news when I say that that's an issue. But I want to connect that to what's happening right now at Harvard. And if you haven't heard about this, the Trump administration threatened Harvard and basically said, if you do not give us all of the information about any and all students on your campus who engage in protests for whatever reason, if you don't just turn over that information to the federal government, we will block your ability to bring in international students, right? The president's administration told a private university that if they don't give up private information about students at that school, as much as this administration wants, that they were going to cut their federal funding. Now, how am I connecting these two things, right? Because Harvard pushed back. Harvard's got a ton of money. Harvard's like, yeah, we're not going to do it. We're going to stop one semblance of our DEI, whatever kind of DEI they do. But here's the second thing to pay attention to. What is happening to Harvard is connected what's happening to FAMU, and it's all an attack on historically black colleges and universities. Now, this is not the crazy conspiracy theory meme. This is just me being very clear. HBCUs are the lifeblood of African-American success, progress, and retention in this country. HBCUs produce the most black doctors, the most black lawyers, the most black school teachers, and many HBCUs in the United States of America are state schools. Right? So Morgan State is a state school, and Bowie State is a state school in Maryland, and Albany State, I believe, is a state school in Florida. And, in North Carolina, Central North Carolina, most HBCUs are paid for by state taxes, right? And also a certain dose of federal funding. So when you look at what's happening in Florida, that's because you have a MAGA governor. Don't think that's going to be the end of it. Don't think that the next Republican governor of Missouri or Ohio or Georgia won't try the same thing, won't try to use their influence and power to push MAGA Republicans in, maybe even white MAGA Republicans in, as the presidents of HBCUs so they can dismantle the schools, crush all dissent, rip away scholarships, and turn our institutions into a husk of what they have become over the last 20 to 25 years. That is the game plan. So if you're watching me right now, please feel free to say this in the comments. If you're watching me right now and you have this situation happening at your school, let me know. I will focus on it. I will bring it up. I will talk about it on the air. I'll talk about it on this podcast. But the move to remove African-American presidents from HBCUs and replace them with MAGA loyalists is a long-term plan to dismantle education in Black America. And what you see happening with Harvard is just a test case. Harvard's got $1 billion endowment. They can fight back. But the warning sign that says to other schools, that says to a University of Michigan, to a Cal Berkeley, they may not have that kind of money. They may just say, all right, hey, we're just going to give you this money now. Or if the administration says, you know what? any HBCU in the country right now, we want to know if any of the professors there or the students have engaged in anti-American behavior. And we will snatch away any of your federal funding if you don't give up those students. You need to have a strong university president who will fight back against that. And that's what they're setting up. So please, 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 please understand, this is not about Harvard or rich kids or privileged kids there. This is about FAMU. This is about Johnson C. Smith. This is about North Carolina Central. This is about Howard. This is about Morgan State. This is about Wright State. This is about Lincoln. This is about Prairie View A&M. This is about Southern. Any HBCU in this country, what you see this administration doing to the wealthiest of private institutions will be done worse and more aggressively to our schools. And whether that's replacing our presidents or trying to threaten them into giving up activist students or getting rid of activists or intelligent professors, that's the next step. Please pay attention to that. And if you see anything like that happening at your school, if you're an HBCU alumni and you're hearing a story about how your state legislature is trying to cut your funding or attack DEI programs or remove faculty or administrators, let me know. Please tell me in the comments. I will make a point to shine a light on that issue and make sure we can get people galvanized. And third thing, I'll just say this very quickly, how to hate watch the NBA finals. So I got to say this right off the front. I was rooting in these NBA finals. I was rooting for the Los Angeles Lakers. I wanted LeBron to get to the finals. I was hoping that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics would get there and we'd have a big Celtics versus Lakers finals. And maybe, the Lakers would win, LeBron would retire, and we could all have the thing. It didn't happen, right? And I say this all the time to people who try and say that basketball is fixed. Trust me, basketball is a lot less rigged than the NFL, because if basketball had its way, you'd probably have nothing but the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, and the Lakers in the finals every year. And you can see it almost never happens, because I don't think tonight that the New York Knicks are going to end up winning. But when I say hate watch, I am always very political and cultural about how I watch sports. And so when I look at these finals, it's probably going to be the Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. I can never root for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Why? Because you have to look at the people who own these teams. The owner of the Thunders is a ultra-conservative MAGA supporter, right, who stole that team from Seattle and bankrupted that community culturally in order to move that team to Oklahoma, where he thought he'd have a lot more power and control over how he paid people, rights, and everything else like that. So at the end of the day, to the degree that you care, and I will not be happy with either team because I'm not a big Indiana Pacers fan either, but if you got to find a team to root for the Pacers or root for the Knicks, because you don't want teams that have crazy MAGA leadership, and you certainly don't want teams that are a result of taking all sorts of tax breaks from a city, snatching those and running them to another state so you can be rich. Anyway, so those are my three things. Musk is still there. HBCUs are under attack. Don't be fooled by Harvard. And please, 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 let's hope that the Oklahoma City Thunder don't end up winning the NBA championship. Big announcement news that I want to make. I will be holding my first Ask Me Anything streaming next week. We were talking about it. I have it scheduled for next week. So I'm going to make a big announcement that specifically. It'll probably be Monday or Tuesday. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I will try and make sure I answer them, and then pop on with me live. It's going to be 7 o'clock Monday. We'll make another announcement. Super duper excited. This has been Jason Johnson. See you next week.